Maybe you like playing games for 24 hours at a time while you pound down energy drinks and have lights shining all over you so that green screen behind you works. Well, then maybe Twitch is the way you want to go while people chat and see you live. Or maybe you want to go on YouTube and video edit for multiple hours while you rip your hair out trying to think of new ideas. Well, maybe you want to hear my experience with it, and if you do, well, stick around. Let's start with YouTube, since that's what I started with. So we're going to kind of do a little story here. I started out with YouTube. Let's not pay attention to the mouse pointer, but gamersgate.com. I first discovered how cheap you can get PC games for, and I was amazed. So I said, I need to tell people about this. So I decided, let's make a YouTube channel. And then I went on from there and made my WRC 4 vs Dirt 3, which is still my biggest video to then. And then I kept making some more videos, but no editing really went on. It was just me maybe pausing the video during OBS or stopping recording and continuing and then stringing that all together in a movie maker kind of Windows movie maker kind of fashion. But a lot changes as you go through and you see the different things you have to do and what's called an unboxing and an overview versus a review. And there's a lot of stuff that would come to my learning that I needed to find out. I did some rants in the past. I haven't really done many in now, but things quite change as you go along, as they do with Twitch and YouTube together. So let's take a look at some of the early videos I started out with. Let's start out right here with my Corsair power supply. Now, I called this a review, and it's still called a review, but truthfully, it's an overview. Because a review would be me checking out its power load, how everything works, how the fan comes on, and stuff like that. So there was still some stuff, as you could tell, for me to learn before I really knew what I was doing. And this was all done with a webcam. That's another thing. This is all webcam based. So another thing here I started using was the green screen. Then I started bringing that in because I already had that going on from Twitch. We will get into that in a second. But I also did my panning shots. And oh, were they awful. Awful, using the tripod I had as well as the C920. Oh, as you could see, it was my early times. But then I really discovered Twitch. I said, hey, this doesn't seem so bad, because Twitch, you just gotta play games and put stuff on the screen. So as you see, this is in my earlier days, and things were really going really wild here. I used to have a lot of viewers coming in. As you see, my follower goal back then was 50. Nowadays, it's more like 1. I'll take 1 follower a night because it really doesn't come. But we'll get into that later as we come along to the final say that I have to go through. Now, let's go into some of the things that I did throughout this time. And a big thing was drunk trucking. I used to drink a lot when I did this because you can't drink and drive in real life without there being real life consequences. But I found myself getting completely obliterated for the sake of the viewers. And I'll tell you, I did it for a long time, and honestly, thinking back on it, it's not that important for the viewers, for the health that you put yourself into by drinking that much. I mean, I looked like a moron at times. So, take that into account. Sometimes you gotta take your dignity in before viewers. But anyways, we go on to when I wasn't doing so well, and I was playing World of Tanks. A lot. I really didn't want to play the trucking anymore. I was falling asleep behind the wheel, and that's all I ever really played, and I really got into this with some friends. And it was a fun game, but it eventually became a very pay-to-play, and no way that you could truthfully enjoy it, or truly enjoy it, as it became so crazy. But we're not talking about World of Tanks. We are talking about how the viewer count went quite away, because I didn't play that game anymore. Euro Truck Simulator 2. Well, that's some things that we will talk about in the final say about everything. But this is how the Twitch side goes, and as we look at now, I will explain what point we're really at now for me. Now let's go back to YouTube, because YouTube is where I have decided to put more work and effort into. Here I decided let's start doing more with intros and transitions, and I was working with some of that stuff before, but now I'm working with Sony Vegas, so it's a lot better. Now, I like to really help people save money, so I do a lot of DIY videos, and people are really starting to enjoy those. But one thing I will say about YouTube is, darn does it cost a lot of money. Now, I was still working with webcams here. Webcams are not really fun because they're always attached to a darn computer. Some people say you could use the phone, but it's really hard to use something when you can't see yourself. It's really hard to do it when you can't see yourself. But the webcam was not doing it anymore, so we went on to get a real camera, which is just a camcorder, and I started using my intro a lot more. And as you saw in the beginning, I even remade that intro because people tend to like it. Gotta go with what people like. So now I started doing my panning shots as you see now, where they're gliding along so gracefully, unlike that horrible C921 in the beginning with a cheap tripod. But as you see here, you have to put a lot more thought than you originally were into your videos, and you'll come to find that out along the time, unless you just do great right off the bat. But now, I didn't know about Sony Vegas, so everything's kinda got a red tint, but I got a lot better with Sony Vegas by this video, and we don't have that red tint anymore. So yes, once you get into the professional video editing programs, it gets a lot tougher. But here's where you have to really start thinking about what your next project is going to be and how are you going to do it? What are you going to film? Even though I do things unscripted, I still have to think about what I'm going to do. So you think about things like this, where you have an up-close shot of the saw. Nothing special, it's just kind of cool. But when you have an issue like this and you realize that you've redone the same part that you didn't want to do, you have to decide whether you want to leave it or not, or if you're just going to go with the flow. In this sense, I decided to go with the flow, because I'm still telling you what I need to, and you're getting more of an idea of how annoying video editing can be, because I didn't plan it to be that way. But as you see, the panning shots look real nice, and you can go around to a lot more places than the webcams allow you to. But then you go and start playing around with speeds and stuff like that also on your video editing software, and it makes a big difference. As you see, you start putting things together. What you could do is clip apart stuff, and there's a lot of fun that can be had with YouTube, and that's why I've kind of turned my way onto it. But now I think what we need to do is really get into the final thoughts and actually start talking about both of these together while you watch me stream some Metro Last Light. Let's start out with some differences about YouTube and Twitch, but we'll first start out with Twitch. So the Twitch differences that you will come to find are the fact that you may sit in a room for a long period of time, maybe for hours, with not even one person saying hi. And it could happen. Usually a YouTube video at least gets a couple of clicks. A couple, unless it's just absolutely horrible. But overall, you can find that happening, and I even found it during this game to happen quite a bit. And as you've seen, at one point, I used to have a 50 follower goal. But consistency and not playing that game anymore kind of tore away the viewer base. And that's something we'll get into right there. If you stop playing a game that people are watching you on, there's a very good chance that only a quarter of those people are actually going to come back to watch you play the other game. A lot of them are going to only come back to watch you play the game that they saw you first with that interested them. Which to me, I find to myself, hey, so you don't find the streamer interesting? Why don't you just play the game yourself at that point? Because obviously you're not finding the streamer interesting. You're just finding the game interesting in the way that maybe that person plays that particular game. But at that point, I guess you could watch YouTube. I wouldn't try to keep finding someone on stream when you could just watch YouTube for something like that. I'm sure you can kind of get the idea of what I'm getting at there, is that if you have a subscriber on YouTube, most likely they're at least going to click on your video and give it a like, or even if they don't give it a like, they probably still clicked on your video even if they didn't watch it the whole way through. But on Twitch, like when I was doing great with Euro Truck Simulator 2, I stopped playing it, and boom, people disappeared like it was no word of me ever even playing that game. It's crazy. And now, when you do, another thing that you'll find is if you are playing a game that you did play a lot and you try to change something, you'll have a lot of people that are, play this game, play this game, play this game. I run the stream. My stream. I do it. I run it. Hey. Of course, you get the trolls, but that happens on either side of it. The support on Twitch's end is definitely better than YouTube support because my comments still don't work on YouTube, and I'm sure if I would have had a problem like that where my chat wasn't working, for instance, on Twitch, they would have already fixed it. But there's no one to really contact on YouTube. So now on Twitch, here's another thing. You tend to get more donations, and you can and when people like raid you and stuff like that, depending on what game you're playing, you can actually grow followers quicker than you could subscribers on YouTube. Unless you get a viral video, subscribers are actually a tough thing to come by on YouTube. It's not as easy as you would think. So on Twitch, if you hit a lucky stride or a good game, or maybe the first person to be playing that game, or you have a good setup that sets you apart from the others, like I did with the steering wheel and all that, well, then it makes a difference, But when you are sitting there and you have the same thing as everyone else has, there's a very good chance that you might not be seen because no one knows you. Because the way Twitch works is it goes by viewer count. The people at the bottom of the list have lower viewer count. The people at the top of the list have high viewer count. So unless you keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, if it's a popular game, you're probably never going to get noticed. So that is one of the big issues that I have with Twitch. And I really can't think of much else other than the fact that it's tough to get partnered. But like I said, once you build up a community, it is actually not so tough to get donations as it is on YouTube, because YouTube, I still have not gotten one. Now, let's go on to the YouTube side, because YouTube is definitely not all fine and dandy either. YouTube also has the issue of bad copyright, like Autobot, that picks up copyright infringement, but it actually does a horrible job of it. And 3 strikes, you're out, you lose your YouTube channel. There's so many things that need to be fixed with the whole system on YouTube. Like I said, my comments still don't even work for hell. I mean, it's been a couple months now. Twitch wouldn't let that happen. But at the same time, I get a lot of enjoyment when I'm on Twitch, and or not so much, well, Twitch when I get a lot of viewers, but I get a lot of enjoyment when I'm on YouTube, and all of a sudden my video is getting tons of views, and people are commenting left and right. It's really enjoyable, and it's a feeling that is hard to match, and I absolutely love. But there is some things, it's really hard to grow, and depending on what kind of channel you're going to do, if you do a gaming channel, you might be able to actually grow kind of quick. But if you do a tech channel, it's going to start costing a lot of money, especially in camera equipment and stuff like that, and growing is very tough, and no, companies aren't going to be sending you stuff unless you can really show them a benefit of you having their stuff on your channel. That's really the thing, you got to show them the benefit of why they need to send you that stuff. So it's not just so easy. You could have music channels, cooking channels, and stuff like that, and those aren't too bad either. But, just remember, Twitch is more lenient on music and stuff like that, and by no means, and I mean no means, is YouTube friendly when it comes to copyrighted stuff, music, even games, playing gameplay. Me having this gameplay on here could be a problem if the game manufacturer doesn't like it, which I wouldn't imagine they would have a problem with me playing Metro Last Light and not saying anything about it, so I think I'm fine on that end. But just keep that in mind, that you really have to pay attention to copyright stuff when it comes to YouTube, where you don't really have to do it as much when it comes to Twitch. Now, yes, your videos can be muted, your archive videos can be muted with music, but that's no big deal. As far as YouTube goes as well, the AdSense, if you curse in your videos and stuff like that, they can unmonetize your stuff. So there is a lot of stipulations and rules that you have to go by with YouTube, but the time consumption is way less, and that's what I love, in a sense that you can do things in such a separate manner and not have them all clumped together like Twitch would have you do, where you just do a straight X amount of hours stint at one time while you're drinking energy drinks or coffee or whatever the heck. And if you're using a green screen, which you don't have to use, but if you got a green screen, you're going to be sitting in the lights the whole time. So there's a lot of things you got to come to think about. And also remember, on YouTube, you can run out of ideas. I think even Linus Tech Tips has run out of ideas now. So just remember that. You have to keep coming up with ideas. Twitch, you just got to get on the game and play. But remember, artwork on both is a big importance. But that's all I can really think of for right now. So if you like this video, hit like. If you are not subscribed and you like my videos, hit subscribe. And if you don't like the video, you can hit dislike. Maybe throw a comment. What do you think? Maybe I missed something, but I don't know. If you like watching these videos, I'll see you next time.